Hello, welcome to Casual Veteran Gamer, and in this Baldur's Gate 3 video, this is hopefully the start of a new series about weapon reviews. I'm not going to put in reviews of magic weapons, so for example, in these videos I won't be talking about the Light of Creation or Hammercraft or the Sword of Justice, but I'm talking about your general weapons, and which will include the +1 weapon versions, because all that's different between a +1 weapon and a mundane weapon is it has a +1 bonus to hit and +1 bonus to damage. Now, several things will go into my review score, which will include things such as damage, weapon abilities, whether they're finesse or not, they're one-handed or two-handed, any other properties they might have, how many different characters can actually use the weapons, and if they're throwable or not. So I'm going to start off with the humble dagger. One of the good things about the dagger is that everybody can use it, even wizards. I think absolutely everybody is proficient with a dagger, and it's the only, as far as I'm aware, the only simple weapon that has also got finesse. Unfortunately, its damage is fairly low, at only 1d4, so it's not that amazing. Now, as for its weapon ability, if you're proficient with dagger, we have here Piercing Strike. The enemy fails a Constitution saving throw, then every extra attack against that creature will cause an extra 2 piercing damage. I'm hoping this works. Of course, I have a critical miss. I'm going to try again. There we are. They have gaping wounds. Attacks against this creature deal an additional 2 piercing damage, removed by healing, which is a bit of a downside. Now, the saving throw here is 16, which is quite high as things go. Now, it's hard to say whether that is a fixed number or not, because if we're following kind of spellcasting rules, then the saving throw from a barbarian should probably be 8 plus their proficiency bonus, which would be 10, plus an ability bonus modifier. If it was 18, that'd go down to 9. If it was intelligence, it'd go down to 9. If it was dexterity, that'd go up to 14, but the saving throw is 16, which is higher than I can account for. So now we should find if we hit this Corsair Greymon. And in fact, one nice thing about the dagger is it's also throwable. It's nice as a backup weapon. We see it did a whole bunch of damage, so 7. That's because she is just throwing it with a damage modifier of +3 and rolled a 4 on 1d4, +2 from being enraged. And it looked like, because we did 2 sources of damage, we actually got an extra 2 lots of 2 for gaping wounds, which is nice. And we've also got here another barbarian. So overall, it's got a lot of nice abilities and stats, aside from the fact that the damage is 1d4. So overall, I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. It's a nice backup. It's the only simple weapon that's finesse. You can throw it, so you can hold a bunch. You can give them to wizards even. And their weapon ability isn't bad. If you know you're going to be focusing on an enemy, then yeah, it's all right. But it's never going to be the main source of damage within your party. All right, I'm in the next fight. And the next weapon I'm going to look at is the Handaxe. So a quick look at the Handaxe. Its damage is 1d6 slashing, so it's a bit better than the dagger. It's also light. Lots of classes can use the Handaxe, but not every single class. So most of the magical classes can't use these, but they have no real need for them. Now, they are a little bit different to daggers also because their weapon ability is different. They have a lacerate, so that deals normal weapon attack damage, and if they fail a Constitution saving throw, they will start bleeding. So they're not finesse. They do rely on the strength modifier. Ah, good. Worked first time. And bleeding, take 2 slashing damage at the start of each of your turn, and has disadvantage on Constitution saving throws. The damage isn't that great. It only lasts for 2 turns. So you're only going to get an extra 2 damage out of it or something, an extra 4 damage out of it or something. However, that disadvantage on Constitution saving throws is quite good. Now, this party unfortunately doesn't have any casters in it, so we can't make much use of it. But yeah, I quite like it. It's one-handed, can be dual-wielded just like a dagger, and just like a dagger is a good backup to have in your bag as a weapon you can throw, especially for barbarians. So depending on how well you can take advantage of the disadvantage on Constitution saving throws will really determine the use you get out of this weapon, out of the weapon ability. So I'm going to try and use Piercing Shot, because they tried to make a Constitution saving throw, but because of disadvantage, it's quite likely that they failed the Constitution saving throw, and so now all attacks against this guy have an extra 2 damage. So yeah, probably another 6 out of 10. It's just quite a solid thing to have as a backup, but as like with the dagger, it's never going to be doing lots of damage in your attacks. Your melee characters will be using other weapons probably to be dealing the majority of their damage. Now, the last weapon up for this video is going to be the Light Hammer. It's a melee weapon, a simple weapon. Also throwable and light, just like the other two in this video. However, it only does 1d4 damage, a bit like the Dagger, but it's not finesse. So any characters that are based on dexterity won't get much use out of this. It's a little bit different to the other weapons because of its weapon ability, which is Concussive Smash. It will force the enemy to make a Constitution saving throw, and should they fail, they'll take some damage, normal amount of damage, and then they'll be dazed. What is dazed? As a condition, it gives disadvantage on Wisdom saving throws, which is pretty good when you've got spellcasters in the party. Also, this is quite a powerful ability actually. It can't take reactions, it's cool, and loses the dexterity bonus to their armor class. Some enemies have a high dexterity, some have a low, so I'm going to try and be careful about who I attack, because this guy has a dexterity of 15, and this will actually, the dazed condition will affect enemies with a higher dexterity than lower dexterity. Also, you've got to make sure they're not wearing heavy armor, because heavy armor doesn't take into account dexterity into the armor class. I'm going to go after Jerris, Novice of the Absolute, so I'm going to try and attempt to, let's actually give ourselves advantage, because we can't use Reckless Attack and a weapon ability at the same time. It's a bit sad. Oh, there we are. They're dazed. So the chance to hit before was 65%, and now it's gone up to 75%. So if we check their armor class, it's now just 11. 11 from their base armor, and the +2 from dexterity, but reduced to 0 by dazed. This lasts for 2 turns, which isn't so bad. So you kind of want to save this for enemies that perhaps have an even higher armor class, so that your party can focus on them in those couple of turns and do as much damage as possible. Dazed, they do. Right. Now, dazed gives disadvantage on Wisdom saving throws, so I'm going to try and use this. And now it's a 70% chance. Oh, they've got Bane as well, which really helps. Hold person worked, failed the saving throw because I feel a bit bad for them because of Bane, but they had disadvantage on the saving throw. So linking up dazed with a spellcaster is really good. You could almost make use of Sacred Flame. So what am I going to give Light Hammer? I mean, some of these things seem really good. However, at the end of the day, it's just 1d4 damage, and other weapons have the dazed weapon abilities, so there's not really a huge need for it. So I'm just going to give it maybe just a 5 out of 10. Its only saving grace really is that it is throwable. If it wasn't throwable, it would be even lower, because 1d4 damage based on strength, just not many people are going to get a use out of it. So let me know what you think about these weapons. Have I been too kind? Have I been too harsh on these weapons? Thank you very much for watching. If you made it this far, please consider subscribing, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.